every day. And if you text a guest, that's too personal, and guests don't like that. Now, fast forward, it's like that's a standard.
Absolutely. We see it every day.
No, this industry does a really good job telling guests what they want. They really do. I have 35 years of seeing it, so I can tell you. I remember when we were the first smoking hotel in New York City, and everybody said we would go out of business.
You mean non-smoking, right?
What's that?
You said smoking hotel.
Yeah, first non-smoking.
Yeah, right.
And the Lucerne Hotel on the Upper West Side, and everybody told me to go out of business. I got so scared that I didn't do it. And I waited until somebody else did it, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. So I was the second non-smoking hotel in New York City. I remember when there was ironing boards, they weren't in the room, they were at the front desk.
Right.
And I was like, well, don't put them in the room, so people will steal them. I was like, I've never seen anybody steal an ironing board.
If they did have one of those steamer machines that you have, then that might be an issue for me. But
yeah, but anyway, so it's industry. No, I remember fighting with brands, and like you said, 2 weeks later, like that's the brand standard. So, I think we need to do a little bit better job. I think we have done a much better job listening to guests, but it's been a real struggle.
Absolutely. I mean, coming out of COVID, it's educating the guests that we've moved to somewhere else in the world. It's still a different place. I mean, it really is.
You just said, but great. You just said something, not to interrupt you. You just said we had to educate the guests. No. The guests educated us by putting do not disturb signs on 80% of your hotel rooms. And then all of a sudden after COVID, it's like, well, we educated guests. 80% of the people were putting do not disturb signs on the rooms. I mean, you walk down a room during the day, everybody has a do not disturb sign on it. And the only person that benefited was the housekeeper, because they would check on their checklist that they cleaned the room when it was do not disturb.
Right.
So
it's just with my do not disturb being on the door.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, I think what an interesting thing is, and we had a chance to catch up last night and have dinner together and talk, which was really, really very helpful to understand the motivations behind your company. And you were telling me last night, you got these hard branded products, but you're really into soft brands and the independent brands as well. And you guys are going ahead and creating one on your own. You already have 3 under the Woven brand. So maybe share a little bit with us about why you like going ahead in the soft brand or the totally independent type of category.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's being able to stretch the creativity of our company. I mean, we like being able to pair up different amenities together. We like, overused, but very important is authentic experiences.
Right.
I mean, when people travel, when tourists travel, I mean, they want to come in and get to know the community. And we spend a lot of time ingraining ourselves in the communities we invest in, and then we create partnerships within that community. So, the independent side of our world is definitely a focus and definitely part of our future. We have
those three hotels you're talking about, Glenn. What's the name of them?
Woven.
Well, Woven is our management company that is focused on so it's Woven by Raines.
Right.
And so kind of brand within a brand, but a couple are soft branded, one's independent right now. Our next couple to roll out will be independent.
That's cool.
Now, when you do an independent and the competition's getting really, really tight, so in some areas and in some cases, you're getting a little bit better deal than you would have gotten maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, depending on who you're going with. Are you building these and saying, okay, down the road after 6 months, a year, 2 years, we're going to go to a soft brand, whether it be Autograph or somebody else, but we're going to build it ourselves our way, and we'll be in a better position to negotiate once we go into a soft brand. Is that ever a thought?
Absolutely. We're running that analysis now. I mean, I think that when we get to build the product we want without the restrictions of the brand, we're finding that the brands come back and they go, this is a really nice product. We want to be a part of it.
Right.
And to bring 3 or 4 brand partners to a table to negotiate definitely puts you ahead of it versus signing it and having to be held back.
Wait, you want to tell me independent hotel operators can actually build a brand without influence from a brand? That's unbelievable. I don't believe it.
But I also think what you're doing is something clever. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have to ask for forgiveness. Instead, you've reset it under your, determinations on how you want things to go. And you've realized that, they're going to want to come to me and our company because of the great work we're doing. That's an interesting way of flipping that equation there, Anthony.
Yeah, 100%. But more importantly, I have a really important question. In the last 30 days, how many days were you on the road, and how many dinners did you have in a restaurant? And I'm talking to you, Glenn.
No. Well, first let's get the answer from Gray over here. For me,
No, you've been traveling. It's like I can't keep up with you, buddy.
well, I was away for a few days, then I was home for a couple of days, and I was away for 13 days, and I was home for 2 days. Now I'm gone for 3 days, and I'm home 2 days, then I'm gone like another 10 or 11.
So you get a break on your mortgage for not living in your house?
Yeah, I wish. If I even knew who was like taking my mortgage right now, I'd complain to them, but they keep selling it off, and I never know who I'm paying anymore.
It's just so the hotel you're in right now is a Hyatt Place.
Correct, Hyatt Place, Mount Pleasant.
You would never know. Like it looks like a beautiful non-branded hotel. Not that branded hotels aren't beautiful. A lot of them are, obviously. This one included, but it's really well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's 100% custom lobby. Rooms are prototypical Hyatt Place. You know, that's a great room. Our guest responds really well to those. And but the lobby is 100% custom. The site we're in, we're part of a greater mixed use development. More of those in our future, and it's been great to be.
Yeah, there's a whole shopping complex out over here. Restaurants, shopping. There's a movie theater right there.
But it doesn't make sense, Glenn. It doesn't make sense because I was told, and you were told in the beginning of the pandemic, that no one's going to go into the lobby anymore, and it's going to be all separated into cubes, and no one is going to want to congregate anymore. So, why is he going against the grain, my friend?
I have no idea. It seems highly illegal to me. When you say putting something in cubes, I can't help but remember. You won't get this reference, but I think in That's Incredible in 1978. You remember that guy that would like fold himself into the plastic cube? I'm thinking about that. That's pretty funny. But I want to go back to the rooms. I got to tell you, Gray, the reason why I'm so awake today is I actually had a really good night's sleep last night. The bedding package was fantastic, and those are some of the best pillows that I've ever had. And I actually slept for more than 3 hours in a row, Anthony. All right, it was 3 hours and 10 minutes, but I'll take it when I could get it.
Absolutely. I mean, the Hyatt Place room is really a solid room. I mean, the bathroom layout, the design, the bedding package. I mean, we really like what Hyatt's bringing to the table.
Yeah, it's funny. When I walked into the room, I felt space. It didn't feel cluttered. And my initial reaction was, this is off. And then I'm like, no, this is the way it always should have been. Only what I need, and not shoving a whole bunch of other stuff in there to distract me and create clutter, which I think takes away psychologically from a positive experience.
Absolutely. I mean, that is one nice shift we have seen in the industry is more, on the minimalistic side of things versus just cramming a piece of furniture in every corner or huge armoire or whatnot. So
you mean, are you telling me they didn't take the desk out and put really uncomfortable chairs in?
There is a desk, and the chair is absolutely appropriate for me trying to get work done. And
remember the trend when everybody took the desk out? It was like that worked for 30 seconds.
I remember the first time I went to one of those hotels. It was a brand new hotel. I was like literally the first guest to check in. I go to the room. Like, they must not have gotten some of their furniture in,
No, you were mad when they were taking the desk out. You were pissed.
Because I'm an old desk guy. I don't want to. I don't sit like the young people in bed and do my work. I think that hotel rooms really need to cater towards multiple uses. Sometimes people want to do something in their bed, but sometimes they need the confidence and the space of the desk to get it done. Particularly if I'm eating dinner or something like that at the same time. All right. So what I want to talk to you about is what are you seeing right now in terms of deals in your portfolio and all that? Are you thinking about recycling your capital in it in any way?
Yeah, we've been fortunate. We've typically always held our assets, and the deal side of the world has been pretty frothy this year. So we have we sold a couple properties, and we're recycling those right back into new assets.
Right.
And I think that as we see a shift in kind of the mindset of the traveler, what folks are looking for, we're putting more money into the independent side and that guest experience.
What makes that determining factor to say, oh, we've done enough with this asset, let's give it to somebody else and utilize that cash to do something different that'll make us even more money?
Yeah, these were really interesting in that we had folks coming to us.
Right.
We sold an asset in Columbia, South Carolina, a really nice Courtyard Marriott we developed about 5 years ago. We had an offer come to us, and it was too good to turn down.
Right.
So, same with an asset we're selling in Florence, South Carolina, that they've come to us. We've got, kind of that trickle down of all the big REITs and everyone buying last year has created another wave of 1031 dollars that have to get put to work.
Right.
And both of these transactions were 1031 buyers looking for some opportunity.
And for those people that don't understand 1031, please explain it to
Yes,
them.
thank you. I was going to ask
Yeah,
that.
it's a tax exchange program that,
If you reinvest it, then you don't have to pay taxes on it, right?
You just kick it down the road.
Right,
So,
but it's
yeah,
all-
it's a
but it-
deferred tax program.
Okay, it's a deferred, but then you only pay taxes when you finally exit an asset and don't repurpose that
Correct.
capital. It reminds me of like when you buy a house and get a new mortgage, you don't have to pay taxes on it if you roll it into the new property.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great program. It is one that definitely has eyes in Washington on it.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some talks to try to scale that back a little bit, but right now it's in.
That is a big mistake if they do.
I agree completely.
That gets people to work. That free ups, like you said, when you can't move because of interest rates, whatever. This allows you to move and keep people employed, and keep things alive and keep people engaged and being able to take care of your employees. Like stuff like that is just asinine.
It really is. And for us, it's great. I mean, we, as a development company, we take the sale of this asset and we're recycling it into 2 new developments. So that's new assets, new jobs, into new markets.
Right.
So, it's a great thing in that cycle, right? I mean, you've just got folks that are more comfortable acquiring and operating, whereas we're comfortable kind of doing a little bit of all of it.
And you have a whole team behind you. You've got a whole design department, procurement department,
Yes,
all of these things.
Management, ops, revenue management. I mean, really that side of the table.
And I'm really finding more and more, and I just came from a company I'm working with that same thing. They have warehouses full of furniture. They can build a brand tomorrow if they got a site and they decide this brand. Well, we got a whole warehouse full of furniture. We have 100 or 200 rooms of that brand furniture. Let's go. They're procuring for other companies. They have very strong revenue and sales teams. And they're finding, and they're literally, and a lot of times, the people I'm talking to throughout the country, they're really kind of taking the place of the brand in a lot of areas. The one thing they can't do, and the reason the brand saved themselves, let's all say it together.
Yeah.
What am I going to say? Why is the brand still alive? Why are they still really strong? And why are we're building our own hotels now? We're going back into doing soft brands because
They
of
deliver
their
heads and beds, right?
why do they deliver heads and beds?
Reservation contributions, the
Because
loyalty programs.
loyalty program.
Yeah.
If you imagine right now if brands didn't have loyalty programs, what would they have? What would they bring to the table that you don't bring to the table with your distribution, with revenue management, with your ability to procure? What would they bring to the table? So listen, they're stronger than they've ever been, and it's great. And I really think brands have saved the travel industry because 20, 25 years ago, they really set the standard, and one company threw a whole bunch of hotels out. We all remember that, 243 or 423, something like that. Threw them out overnight and said, if you don't make our brand standard, you're done. And then all the other brands started. Everybody forgets that. That was the beginning.
Right. I remember back when Vantage Hospitality existed before they were acquired by Red Lion. The president and CEO Roger Bloss was very about getting rid of the bottom 10% every single year.
It's critical,
right? And if you don't do that, then it's going to really damage your.
That was only done after that one big brand that we don't mention, and they got the entire industry's attention. It's like, what did you just do?
Right.
It's like, yeah, we're going to be in pain for a couple of years, and we're going to not be able to take care of our shareholders. They're going to be pissed off at us, or we're going to continue to destroy our brand. Which one do you want? But it took a big company to do that, and then I think that was the catalyst for. What was the last time you stayed in a really bad hotel?
Hunter Conference this year.
Oh,
I distinctly remember it.
Well, let's not talk about the hotel.
Rooms and, it was not a good hotel.
It's funny you should say that. I wonder if it's the same place. Of course, we're not going to slam anybody live on air, but I just felt the hotel that I stayed in just needed a lot of love. It was a very old building, and it felt that way.
This one it needed CapEx. It needed. The team was tired. You could tell they were not invested in that.
No, the team that I encountered at this particular hotel, they just seemed like angry that people were actually at their hotel, which was a shame.
It really was.
But what are you going to do? I want to go back.
All right, well, it's very rare that I go to bad hotels, so I don't know what you guys are doing.
Well, we travel a lot more than you, perhaps. I don't know. But honestly, though, Anthony, you are right. Because I think that most hotels get it right. I always say this 98, 99% of the time. It's that 1% to 2% that everybody's really competing
But
on.
it's really, you know what it is? It's the materials. The materials we're using today are much easier to keep up than what we did. When was the last time you walked into a hotel with carpet? The 5-star hotels still have carpet in the brand new hotels, but they do it in a way that, you know, they keep it up and they have a level of where some of it is hardwood, some of it's carpet. But I think it's the materials they use. I mean, even the bars. When was the last time you saw rings around bars where you used to see it all the time, or tears and chairs? So tears and chairs. I think there's a company, Tears and Chairs. And but I think it's a lot of the design, the lighting, the materials, the openness, the walls. There's no walls anywhere anymore.
Yeah, which is good, because I love that it's open. If you look back into the classic big box hotels where they would hide everything in the back, it doesn't make sense for our society today. But I want to go back to what you're saying on materials, because like this couch over here is absolutely gorgeous and looks different than you would see at one of those big box urban convention type hotels, right? Where everything looks like it could be put in a hospital and you wouldn't know that it was from a hotel.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think, you know, for us, I mean, we have our own interior designer touch every one of our properties. I mean, even if it's a hard brand,
Right.
they are still coming in and we're putting as much custom spec to any of our materials as we can. I mean, it's still getting blessed by the brand, but we want our interior designer looking at these each of the pieces of furniture.
So let me throw you a curveball question over here. Are you ever afraid that the hotels are going to be too good for the brand? And like, are the brands concerned about that? Because I know that you got to stay within parameters, right? In order to meet what they classify as that brand in that particular category.
You know, that's really interesting. I was at an owners advisory council meeting
Right.
last week in Memphis, and that actually came up that a couple of the brands have allowed owners to push too high.
Right.
And it's not the brand. They're so far off brand, and used to, that was, you're always hoping to keep the bottom out.
Right.
Now they've people don't know that brand.
And look at like, let's take an example of Hampton Inn, which over its lifetime moved up basically a whole category. And then they created the True brand to fit underneath it with what Hampton originally was. But now that all the major companies own so many brands, Marriott's up to 31 with the acquisition they made last week, for example. So you can't, the parameters have to stay tight in some way. Otherwise, you're really going to be leaking into other product lines that they have.
Well, I mean, a perfect example. I mean, one of my favorite brands, and I was at the original brand launch,
Right.
is AC.
Mhm.
I mean, AC is awesome.
Yeah.
But when you stay, I mean, that is a very different experience at every AC.
Which one is that? Which one is that?
AC?
AC by Marriott.
Yeah.
I was just there 2 nights ago, and
In what city?
what's that?
What city?
I was in New Hampshire.
Mhm.
I was in
Portsmouth.
I can't know, but I was in a different city. I slept anyway. Beautiful AC, owned by Colwyn Hotels. Gorgeous, and really my aesthetic. And really, you would not know you're not in a 4.5, 5-star hotel. You would not know it. Everything was beautiful. It was great, and it's just a little bit different. But what they do at Colwyn is they really went to town on the breakfast. Like, I was sitting there and I was on a conference call, and the person I was having a meeting with, they were on a conference call. And as I'm sitting there or standing near the buffet, there's a slicing machine with beautiful, really tasty prosciutto. And I'm like, wow, with a really nice frittata. And I was like, wow, this is really, and it was limited. There wasn't a lot of food out, but it was very limited. And so you're right. The AC brand is insane.
It's a fantastic brand. We're working on 1 or 2 right now, but I think to several. I mean, the experience is pretty bad. It's a wide differential, but it's a fantastic brand. But yes, Glenn, I think that there's certainly an opportunity for brands to step in and rein it back a little bit,
Right.
because I mean that there's brands out there that range from 3 stars to 5 stars.
Yeah.
It's hard. You walk into the bar or the F&B, and it's just truly elevated.
Right. But at the same time, you know, to go in the opposite way, I don't think customers are really worrying about all of that. Last night we were talking about how I think the hotel industry classifies brands very, very much differently than way consumers do. So while there may be perception, you got to stay within these boundaries because of agreements they have with other brands and stuff like that. I don't think it really matters to a particular customer.
No, I think the customer, I think I've always said segmentation only exists at the brand level.
Right. Yeah.
The customers are going to brand.com. They're looking at location. They're looking at price. possibly an extended stay feature if that's what they need for long term.
And you're seeing more and more, even in the B markets, everybody's got the same rate. I don't care if you're a 3-star hotel, 4-star, everybody's got the same rate. I mean, very rare that you go into a market and there's $150 differential between that brand you just talked about, those two brands, right? That are so close to each other. And yes, they're supposed to be different and they're supposed to, you are supposed to be in this market, like the college kid, but they're like only like $25 less, and you get a lot less in that product, or, but it's kind of like people, like you said, if it's a busy area, a busy city, there's a lot, people don't really care.
Yeah.
Well, I think the traveler's confused.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to tell the difference between the brands. I mean, this latest, and this is across the board, the latest exterior renovations that each of the brands are requiring, they look very similar as far as the prototypical.
Agree.
You go across all of them,
and it's kind of like how all of these apartment buildings that have popped up, they all look exactly the same too, right? So it's that same kind of vibe. Why do you think that's happening in our industry? Is it just because that's the most efficient way to build some of these buildings from the ownership point of view?
I think efficiency is part of it. I think, you see someone gain success with one direction, one design, and that just ripples all the way down the brand spectrum.
Right. And I mean, there's an argument to be made that you don't want them to be too different because like the original Hampton design, right? That honeycomb look is so distinct that when you see it, I mentioned this when I did that call with Bruce Ford the other day, and you guys could check that out on our podcast feed, that, it's weird seeing another brand on that building when you know what it used to be. So I wonder if these major companies are talking about, well, maybe you start with a brand that's at X level, and then over the lifetime, we can offer you another product that better fits with the condition of that building. Maybe there's something not overt, but
I don't think they're thinking that far out.
Yeah. I'm trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
But if you go to a 4-way stop in small town America or big town America or medium-sized America, you're going to find the same brands, hotel brands, food brands. And again, a person that's been to, it seems like every town in America, I never know where I am. Never. You go down to small town America and every brand is there on the corner.
I'll give it a props to Hilton Garden Inn, though, because they have a very distinct building still. When I was coming out of the airport yesterday, I'm like, I see a hotel over there. I don't see a sign. I bet that's a Hilton Garden Inn. I was so proud of myself when I passed by and I saw the sign.
You're old and doing this a long time when you can look at a magazine and you can see one speck of carpet or one piece of a wall and know exactly what hotel it is.
Anthony, could you explain to our younger viewers what a magazine is?
Yes, magazine is something that you put into a gun.
Yeah. Too funny. So, it's interesting, that you're part of a company that was a family company, multiple generations, but that's no story that we've heard here before. But what I really loved is when we were talking last night, the incredible support and camaraderie you've got with people that should be your competitors. And I think that really sets the tone for our entire business, that we're all competing against each other, but we also want each other to succeed. And you've come up with some guys that are around your age, the way that works. And you had some great mentors from other companies as well.
Absolutely. Extremely fortunate for just the most amazing mentors in the business. I think that, I couldn't go without saying, I mean, the kindness and patience that Mark Laporte has showed me over the years.
And that he's from Concord Hospitality.
Concord Hospitality. Steve Joyce, who's not in our industry currently.
Former CEO of Choice before Pat Pacious.
Absolutely. David Pepper, Jim Tierney. I mean, guys that, I can go to.
Pepper is Chief Development Officer with Choice. Jim is running.
Stop showing off, Glenn.
Yeah. I'm just trying to help our audience over here. I just also know these guys.
Yeah, they're just the most fantastic people. And then contemporaries. I mean, guys like Justin Jabara. I mean, he's not only a friend, a brother, but someone that we benchmark with. We have aligned values, so it's great to be able to call someone and see what they're going through and then how to work.
And this is the thing that people don't understand. Competition is good. Knowing your competitor really well, be friends with your competitor helps. I don't know why people still have this famine mentality where I'm just going to eat, and I'm not going to let anybody else, eat. It's so important to hear that. And are you the third generation of your company?
Fourth generation.
Well, no, wait. On the third generation, you're supposed to lose everything. What happened?
Exactly. It started with my great grandmother, and then my grandfather took over, and then my father, my uncle.
Oh, wait. Tell me about your great grandmother. I got to hear about this.
She's the most amazing woman in the world.
So tell me about her. I want to hear about her.
Did you get to know her at all?
So she passed away when I was 9 or 10, but I got some really quality time, some great memories. I mean, she carried a .38 pistol in her pocketbook. She was tough as nails, smart, loved to gamble.
How'd she get in business? I want to know how'd she get in the business?
So she actually did. She was in the truck stop side of the world. So we evolved truck stops, gas stations.
How'd she get her first truck stop?
She Hartsville, South Carolina. She realized that there was an opportunity, and her husband started the business. He unfortunately passed away, and she stepped right in to operate it. And she had a regular poker game that was pretty popular.
That's awesome.
I used to hear about, and she's just really smart, tough woman. I mean, I think that, we have a legacy of strong women in our business, something that we're proud of. My mother, who's still big part of our company. She's on our board, and again, one of the smartest women I'm fortunate to work with, not just my mom, but my business partner. So we're proud of that side of the world.
So I got a question for you. I'm sorry, Anthony, but what was it like learning from these strong women, and how did that help you as a professional?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a sense of compassion. There's a sense of the way they, the women in our organization approach the problems. I think it's different than maybe where my grandfather came from, my father. So no, it's been a great learning process. And my mother actually picked up the business late or later. So my father got very sick in 2000 as a young man at 42, and unfortunately passed away about 8 years ago. But my mother of 4 children, I mean, that was her focus. She was going to be an absolutely amazing mom. And when my father got sick, she stayed right by his side, and she learned the business by helping him when he was sick. And she learned it. She knows it. And, it's great to work with her every day.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's a beautiful story. And it's what I loved about what you said was that women, listen, they're just more nurturing. They make human beings, right? So they're just really strong and nurturing. And the more female executives in this industry, the better this industry will be. And you just see a more nurturing. When you're around women executives or managers or even line employees, they just seem to listen better. So I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. So, what have you learned recently about where we're going to go and some of the things that you want to do? What are some of your top of mind issues?
Wow. I think what I've learned is I've got so much to learn.
Yeah.
I think the world has thrown so many problems at us. And I think, for me, it's critical to be surrounded by the smartest people. And that's where I'm so fortunate. We've got the best folks as part of our team, and I lean on them. We make decisions together. We work together to solve problems. And I think that's the key to our success right now, is just having such a fantastic team and aligned on the goal side.
Right. Yeah.
What would you say? I'm sorry. What would you say in all your years and now all of these experiences? What is your strength? What would you say that when you're in a room, you were a student for a long time, you had all these strong people around you, but when you walk in the room, what do you bring to the table? What is the thing that you're most proud of in your ability?
So I think it's the ability to make decisions when there's a lot of voices in the room, a lot of strong voices, the ability to hear that and then make the decision and own that decision. I
love that. I think owning a decision is critical to what you just said. Making a decision is great, but owning it. So many people make the decision and go, literally, as I'm saying the words, there's like 17 things that popped into my head where I literally said, that wasn't my decision, bro. That was yours. They're like, no, I didn't make that decision. It's like, just own it, man. Yeah. So that's probably one of the greatest strengths you can have as a business person.
It's suited us well, and it's allowed us to continue to grow. And
it's like when people ask me all the time, why are you in business with Glenn? I'm like, hey, I own that decision.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great decision, but I own it.
Right, and thank goodness you're not trying to slough it off on somebody else's responsibility for your poor decision making out there. I'm also curious. You guys are focused a little bit on golf as well now. And I think that's becoming an ever more important part of your business. I thought it was over. I thought people didn't play golf anymore. What's going on there?
Pickleball.
I think that golf has been a big part of my life, my business partner's life. So it's something we've always been around. I never thought we'd necessarily be in the golf business,
right?
But there's a lot of opportunity in golf. I think that the more we learn, the more it pairs so well with hospitality. But coming out of COVID, I mean, as controversial as it could say, I mean, COVID saved golf.
Interesting.
It
because
created
it's outdoors.
It did. It was outdoors. It was a safe place. It was somewhere that you could still go and be around your friends.
Right.
That, you might not have been able to go to a restaurant or go to church or something along those lines, but you could go outside and play golf together. And I think that, it's not just the new folks that joined and are enjoying the game. It was the casual golfer that played 5 to 8 times around. This 5 to 8 times a year,
right?
This now playing 25 to 50 times,
Woo!
And that's what moved that needle.
Yeah, and with the flexibility, I said, "Wow, it's like how do you have that much time?" But with the flexibility of people working from home, they're like, you know what? I'm going to take a day and I'm going to go play golf and I'm going to work at night that day or whatever it is. And I actually played during COVID. I played 3 times. That's 3 times as much as I've ever played. So, and you know what? I'm learning to enjoy it more. And I tried to play by myself once, and I was like, you know what? I am never ever gonna play golf by myself again. I don't mind going to theater or eating or flying or traveling by myself, but playing golf by yourself is once it's lonely, and 2, you feel like a loser. I don't know. I like playing golf with people. It's the one thing I really like. I really enjoy, being on the golf course with friends.
I'm the same way. I mean, golf's also been a competitive outlet for me pretty much my whole life. But the social side of golf is what it's all about. It's great for business. It's great to get outside. But yeah, playing golf by myself, there's a lot of other things I'd rather go do.
Yeah, I'm not much of a golfer, but I am really good at driving the golf cart while having some beers. So that part. Is that
the only thing you do while you're driving the golf cart is drink beer?
Since this is No Vacancy Live, yes. That is I do. Check back with me tomorrow on Friday Night Audit. I might be a little bit more honest with my answers over there. There's different philosophies in the way that people operate their businesses. I get the sense that you guys are highly regional, like the Colwyn company that he was talking about before. What are some of the benefits of that, and why choose that particular approach as opposed to what some of the companies do, trying to get one here, one there, one everywhere?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're operators,
right?
I mean, we are operations focused. I mean, the way we've structured our regional teams, our sales teams, we want our folks in our properties, and we want to be able to touch our properties a lot. I mean, as we branch into the third party side of the world, we're doing that very selectively now. We're finding that you get these groups that their regionals are visiting every 6 months,
right,
or once a year.
Yeah, that's not helpful.
Our regionals are in the properties minimum of once a month,
right,
if not more. So, it's being cognizant of our footprint. And then one thing that we're very fortunate about is being based in the Southeast, and the growth potential within the Southeast the last 20 years has been absolutely amazing. And if we can travel 2 hours to do a project, why go pursue something outside of that footprint?
Yeah, I can't believe, like, over dinner last night, Anthony, I can't believe how many times you would mention an area and everyone would say, oh my God, it's just growing so rapidly. And these areas are connecting. And it's like this whole North South Carolina thing, I feel like is going to become a megalopolis at some point.
I mean, our markets have been on fire. I mean, Charleston alone still seeing today 47 people move here per day.
Wow. That's a lot.
Say that again. I didn't hear it.
47 people per day are moving to the Charleston market.
Wow.
And that's created amazing summer. And we have a hotel in Somerville that does well, North Charleston, down to West Ashley. I mean, there's opportunity outside of just the downtown market. I mean, we have 5 hotels in Mount Pleasant right now, and it is we're seeing that growth. I mean, it's been something interesting to watch. I mean, municipality absorb,
right?
But to me, it's a good problem.
They say if you live long enough, you see everything. And the New Yorkers and the cities like Chicago and LA, if you owned hotels there, you were like, when you went to the conferences, you were the big fish. Right? Like, everybody wanted to be you. Now they go in and they meet people like you, like, how do I become you?
Right. How does having this focus help you understand the characters of all of these markets in order to be able to find those deals that are off market? Because it seems like all deals are off market now.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they truly are. So it's about being focused on the community, knowing the players. I mean, one big part of who we are as a company, you know, we are not scared of secondary and tertiary
Right.
markets, and we will step into those, but we want to be the hotel.
Right.
So our Tapestry project in Florence, South Carolina, it was the first private investment into Florence in
Wow.
over 40 years
Wow.
into downtown.
Yeah.
And after that, $240 million of investment followed into downtown.
Wow.
And that truly changed our community. But it is the hotel. There's a lot of hotels in Florence, but locally, everyone owns Hotel Florence.
So how do you pencil out a deal like that? Because if it's an empty-ish area, right, you don't think you're going to make as much money, but then all this other business comes in and it helps you, obviously. So do you think about that in advance? How do you plan?
Yeah. So I mean, for us, I mean, the way we structure our deals, I mean, we put real equity, we
Right.
sign real guarantees. You know, for those, we know we're gonna put more cash in.
Right.
You know, the leverage points there, the loans will be based on our balance sheets and not necessarily, you know, the project. We believe in the project, but they're also looking at us to backstop it. And
Right.
you know, we were fortunate. We had a local bank, Carolina Bank, believed in us. They knew who we were, and they gave us a loan for Hotel Florence, and it's paid off. We built a 100-room Hyatt Place 500 yards away, and a lot of restaurants, a lot of business, as well as growth from the major hospital system. So it's been a major success for us, and it's one of the top Tapestry in their collection.
Wow.
Yeah, people really forget about that local bank and that relationship with the business owner. How important it built America, and it's really how important it is to those local communities.
Absolutely. I mean, Carolina Bank is. I mean, they've shaped who we are as a company. I mean, they've believed in all generations of our company, and they've allowed us to grow even when maybe it didn't make the most sense. They believed in us when even we were questioning that sometimes.
Well, now that you're hanging out with us, they may not believe in you anymore.
Right. So I've got one more question that is quickly becoming like supply chain and labor. Oy, enough talking about it already. What are you thinking about when it comes to rising interest rates on Friday? Tomorrow, the Fed is supposed to pop it up another 0.75%, or I guess they say 750 basis points. How is that affecting you going forward, if at all?
So I mean, I think, you know, right now it makes us that much more disciplined in our underwriting. It's making us that much more assured of the project. You know, I think it has really slowed down our new development, our new construction. We're not necessarily, you know, we're shelving some projects. We're putting them to the side. We're focused now on acquisitions, conversions. We've always had a history of doing adaptive reuse projects. So we have a couple of those going. So it's just about shuffling the deck and maybe moving some things to the top that were a little bit lower. And then some of our new construction, we're just holding off for 12, 18, 24 months until the pricing is right.
And that matches what the new construction pipeline is really talking about. We're seeing a lot more of those conversions. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And on the rate side, I mean, again, it comes back to our local regional lenders that believe in us. We're able to negotiate a little bit better rate.
Right.
We're lowering our leverage points on those loans. So, you know, that's the other side of this is we're putting more capital into fewer projects to be able to get those to the right leverage point.
Right. So let me ask you, industry wide, one of the problems that like New York City had, for example, is the hotels that were there in like 2019, a chunk of them were not penciled out right. They overpaid, et cetera, et cetera. That caused them some problems. Do you think maybe these rising interest rates will stop some of those deals that probably shouldn't have happened anyway and prevent them from financial crisis 5-10 years from now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that coming out of 08, 09, 10, you know, I mean, people, banks, brands, developers became a little bit more disciplined.
Right.
And we're looking at projects now, you know, I think that should never have been built. And hopefully those are slowing down a little bit. I think that we realize that, you know, not all of the brands are the golden ticket that we once thought they were. And it's just requiring more discipline.
Right. Yeah. Anthony, got any more questions for our friend over here?
I'm good, my friend.
All right. How about a good wrap up? Summarize what you're thinking right now and, you know, what you're excited about.
Well, we're excited to have you here for our oyster roast.
I'm excited to eat
tonight.
some oysters.
Yeah, absolutely. We are excited as a company to continue to grow, to find the right markets, be the hotel in those markets, and just provide career opportunities. I think that's the other piece of it. We've got well over 900 on our payroll every
Right.
on our payroll, and we're working hard to make sure that they have career opportunities.
That's awesome. All right. Great hangout here. I'm just going to switch cameras and go back to this one. Andy, that was really interesting and fascinating. It was fun. It was fun having a little bit of a different perspective today.
Well, you know what? It's really shows you what America is built on. America is built on small business with families doing the right thing by their employees, by their team. Like he said, building opportunities for people to have careers, not just jobs. And, working with your associations, with your banks. That's what this country is built on. Right. And that's how you keep people employed. Like he said, he's going to shuffle the deck. He has enough equity in some hotels that he can do that, and he can maybe not have to go to the bank for 80% of the loan. And that's it's really great to hear. And and in these markets that used 15 years ago were markets that people didn't want to be in, these families that stayed in those markets and built these relationships, it's fantastic to see it. And you're seeing it every single day in these these A- B markets.
Yeah, and what I'm taking away from this is while there seems to be an emphasis on these mega-sized management companies, that entrepreneurial spirit is still alive and is happening all over our country between the two companies we focused on today as just an example for so many folks that are out there doing great things in regional markets.
When things go well, people look for problems. When things go bad, they have to solve problems.
Yeah.
So for 2.5 years, things went sideways and we had to solve problems, and people kind of fell back in love with the pain a little bit. They're like, this hurts, but wow, I'm getting back my edge. I know it's happened to me. It's like, it's happened to you. It's like, this sucks, but I'm back, I'm back playing Little League baseball, and I feel like I got to prove myself again. And every business person alive is how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely right. And if any of you out there want to prove yourselves, well, I would suggest listening to the audio podcast if you're watching us on video. Listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud. I could keep going on, but we are everywhere you want to be. And if you're listening to us right now out there walking that dog or something, why not take a moment, watch us on video. Check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and of course, house all the shows on No Vacancy Live. He's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at Traveling Glenn.
Did you say videotape?
I don't know what I said. I don't know. I'm dreaming about oysters and how they're going to be roasted.
No, I actually like my when I did that. It was fun. I'm just not a big oyster person, but it's a lot of fun.
Yep. Well, don't get me started on the clam chowder I made the other day. So
I won't get you started.
All right, everybody. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
speak on yourself.
see you all next week.
Don't talk.